Hello. Okay, I want to start a series of videos to kind of start documenting my journey. I've done it super sporadically in the past, and it's been something that has been on my heart and my mind for a good while, and I just have to tell myself that done is better than perfect. So here I am. Here I am. All right, so the first chapter, I guess, that I want to cover is how I got into this wellness journey, how, why, all that good stuff. So 12 years ago, I was just about ready to get married. And so what does every good Christian girl do? You go to the doctor and you get on birth control. And so I was brand new up here in Indiana, didn't know a doctor. I think I literally found the doctor just on like Google or something. I didn't even know her. And I called the office and was like, I need birth control. And they said, all right. So I went in, and I literally remember walking in, telling her I needed birth control. She knew nothing about me, my pet, like nothing. And she was like, well, let's try this one. And I get the question often of what birth control I was on. I believe it was like Quazine or something like that. It was an off-brand. I don't know if that helps anyone, but I get that question often. So she passed out this birth control prescription. Do you have any questions? I'm 19. I'm like, nope. And went home and started it and didn't really think anything of it. Right away, I started gaining weight, where in the past I had never struggled with weight before. I had always been able to eat whatever I wanted. I honestly was super unhealthy, but I was skinny. And I didn't know about health, and nor did I really need to care about it. So I started gaining weight, but in my head, I'm like, well, I've heard that happens with birth control. So not a big deal. Okay. And my husband now and I had ordered new jeans for me the day we got engaged. Such a random thing to remember, but we went to the mall before we went to the apple orchard to get engaged because I needed new jeans because I have been losing weight, not trying, but I just was. And by the end of the month, I was not able to button them. And so that was all right. Well, it continued on, and I, for a couple months, gained about 10 pounds a month. Didn't change anything. It made me alarmed, but also I just remember always hearing people say that's normal. Whenever you get off, your hormones will go back, you'll lose it. It's not a big deal. Well, I had been on the birth control for 3 months, and I felt awful. I didn't feel like myself. I literally wanted to crawl out of my skin. I don't know how my husband and I actually got married, because I started to change into a completely different person. And there was some time after our marriage where he felt like I had almost tricked him into who he thought I was, because I had changed so much. And I would just cry no, I don't even know me anymore. This is not normal. And so, and on our honeymoon, I missed a day. And so I doubled up. Don't do that. And got super sick in Cabo. So it was a super fun honeymoon. So after that, I was just I can't do it. And so I got off of it. So I was on birth control for 3 months. The weight kept coming on even after being off of birth control. I still felt like I literally just wanted to crawl out of my skin. I didn't like who I was. I didn't know who I was. I looked in the mirror. I didn't know who I was. Personality, I didn't know who I was. it was a really hard season, and it took about a year to finally figure out what was going on. But that also took a lot of doctor's appointments, a lot of money spent, a lot of different trying things, a lot of blood work, a lot of different medicine. The very first doctor I went to literally put me on an antidepressant, Wellbutrin, and was like, take this for 6 months and it'll get your hormones back and you'll be back to normal. And at 20, I was like, okay. And so, I mean, the same attitude I had with the birth control. So I did that for a little over 6 months and nothing changed. Now, come to find out, I think it was more that mentality of, well, you might just be depressed, which is why you're gaining weight and not feeling yourself. So here's some depression meds. But I didn't know it at that time. So in that whole journey, I had to become my own advocate. I've gone to, Western doctors, naturopaths, chiropractors, you name it. I've either done it or I've probably been there. And there's been a lot of doctors that have looked me straight in the face and just said, well, you're probably overweight because you're depressed. You're probably overweight because you don't work out. You're probably just overweight because, and depressed because of this or that. And misdiagnosis. I've been misdiagnosed multiple times, and there's something in your spirit where you just know that that's not right. Like, no. And so then that caused me to really start becoming my own advocate and doing research. And at that time, there was not the wealth of natural knowledge like there is now. Like now there's almost, I don't want to say too much, but there's so much. And back then there were maybe 3 blogs that I was able to find of people semi in my situation. It was slim pickings, let me say. So, I would research and research and research and then get to the point where I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much information. I gotta stop. And finally, I was so blessed to find a doctor that knew what blood work to run. She had a beautiful way of explaining it to me because I love research, but I also am very visual. And so she'd always write out like analogies and different things. So my blood work came back saying that I was insulin resistant. I was told that if I didn't get my health turned around within a year, I'd be diabetic. My progesterone was super low. My estrogen was super high. My testosterone was super low. I had adrenal fatigue. My adrenals were just shot. With some of the testing, when I walked in to have my doctor review it, she literally was like, Allie, I don't know how you walked into this office and how you're functioning, because your tests say that you should be bedridden and like not able to function. And so that was kind of where my health was. And it was very eye-opening. And so there was liver cleanses and different cleanses and detoxes and taking things out of my diet and putting things back into my diet and trying supplements. And I mean, like, it's just been 12 years of trying things and then realizing that didn't work, or trying things and then realizing, oh my gosh, we're spending so much money on this. This isn't sustainable, whether it's in a diet or financial or whatever. And then I would go through a season of simply like, you know what? I can't keep striving for health. I can't keep striving for healing. Ultimately, the Lord is my healer. He is my great physician. And that's been our ultimate hope and desire is like, no, He's going to heal me. And we are still fully trusting on a complete healing in my body. But it's learning to live in that tension of honoring my body, of making wise choices, of doing all that I can here on earth, but then also fully giving it up to Him and realizing I can't understand everything, because the Lord has created our bodies so intricately and so intimately, and hormones are so intimate. Like, it's just unreal, everything I've learned about it. So I'd go through these ebbs and flows of like screw this. Like, I can't think one more day about what supplement I need to take, how much nutrients I'm getting in. Like, it was just, I had to just be done for seasons. And then, but with that, if I'm not super strict with my diet, then weight would just come on rapidly. I mean, like, this isn't just like freshman 15 type of weight gain. This was like rapid weight gain. And it was to the point where it would be scary because I didn't know how to stop it. And it's not like I would go crazy and start eating Cheetos and Coke, you know, and I'd gain all this weight. Like, that would make sense. But like, it would be simple. I probably was just eating too much fruit and I would gain 10 pounds, like those type of things. So in all of that, there's been so much wrestling and learning, and also depending on the Lord and trusting that He gives me the wisdom and discernment for each new step. And I'm so thankful for each step that He's given us, and each thing that we've tried, because I can say like, oh, I've tried that. Oh, this works, or this doesn't, or this was my experience. But ultimately, I'm now in a place where I haven't been. It's new terrain, which I love new terrain with my health because it gets me excited. Like, okay, I haven't tried this before. Like, maybe this is the next path. Maybe it's the next step. And so right now where the Lord really has us, and I say us because my husband is a huge, like, he is with me in this. And I'm so thankful that the Lord allowed this to happen once I met him, so that I have a partner. So the next step is really working through the mindset and the mind shift. I can't tell you how many years my sweet husband would tell me, I need to be more grateful, because I am definitely naturally more pessimistic. I can always look at the glass half empty, and I would say it was always me being not perceptive, realistic. No, it's just me. I just understood being more negative. And I was always afraid of the shoe dropping. You know, I would start something and start seeing positive results with my health, and then the shoe would drop and something would happen. And so I just trained myself to get used to that, which is not healthy. And so realizing that there is so much that has to do with your brain and your thoughts and your words that then like literally sink into the rest of the cells of your body. And so I am working so hard on processing past trauma, past grief. I mean, even trauma of being a Navy brat since I was 3 and having to leave like best friends every 2 to 3 years. And at that time, you know, you could write letters. At the very end, like middle school, you could, like, email was starting to come out, but it was hard. It was so hard. I mean, if I let myself sit here and think, I can go back to the times of laying in my bed and just that grief of losing your best friend and then watching them move on with new best friends and that loss. You know, and that was just a small thing, but stuff that I never fully processed, and I never really realized the impact that it had on my heart and my mind. So working on the mind, and then working on frequency and your energy, and learning that our body is energy and frequency. And for so many years, that has been such a new age thing. I've stayed away from it. But now I'm learning, like, no, the Lord created our bodies exactly this way, with frequency and energy. Like, He created it. And why are we letting this new age culture steal that and take it over? No. And so I'm really in a hungry place of wanting to redeem that, wanting Christians to understand that it's okay to talk about frequency and energy. It's okay to believe in it. But you have to realize the maker and creator of it, and then realize, okay, why did he create our bodies like that? And how can we utilize it? The Lord has created our bodies to be able to heal itself, to be able to recover from things. And not because we don't need him, but he has equipped us in the same way that we are equipping our children. He has equipped us. I don't always want my kids to be dependent on me for making a sandwich. I mean, let's just go with that. But I want to equip them how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And I think the Lord is like, no, I've equipped you. I've given you these gifts. I've given you like this knowledge. Now go do. Well, and that's a whole nother thing. I could just keep going. My husband and I are very into teaching the oils of the Bible because it's just mind-blowing. And there are 3 different types of healing. I'll end on this, which I never realized. I always thought that it was healing, like that instantaneous healing. And that's what I've been praying for 12 years. I literally have had this vision for 12 years of me like waking up, standing up out of my bed, and my pants or underwear just completely falling off because my body has released everything that it doesn't need. Now, a lot of times, or no, not a lot, for me, I equate a lot of this weight gain with some of like me carrying on emotional baggage, stuff that I need to work through. It's that like this outside is representing what's on the inside. And so for me, that instantaneous weight loss would almost show like, no, I'm fully clean from the inside out. Anyway, that's this like vision that I've had for 12 years. And there were times I'd wake up in the morning and like and just be disappointed. But that's only one type of healing. The Lord created other types of healing. One of them is therapeuo, I think is how you say it. And it's that as you go, which is so beautiful because that's what I've been saying for years. Like I truly believe that it's an as you go for me. Like I'm not here encouraging people in health and wellness because I'm on the other side and I've made it. Like, no, I'm going, I'm learning, and I want you to come alongside me and like, let's do it together. And so when you're praying for healings, realize that you may not get that instantaneous healing, but you might get that as you go through therapy, through people loving on you, through working through things, you are healed. Maybe I'll do a whole video on that sometime. But that's just kind of in a nutshell. It's so hard to catch people up on 12 years, but I want people to know where I came from, where I'm coming from, and my bigger why behind this whole Wellness Well journey. Because there's so much, and I truly believe it's a ministry of the Lord, and I love that He has brought us here for such a time as this.